This is video number 10, alien structures in the crater mare moscoviense on the far side of the moon. I'll just try to zoom in as quick as I can over all the structures which are highlighted. Again, we've got some fairly large rods in the crater. Similar pattern, very dense and hilly landscape. That's 140 meters, that tower there coming up. It's a very tall one. You've got the shadow down the edges, quite a few zigzag little towers happening and courtyards. So that would be 140 meters divided by 3. That's nearly 50 stories. So these are very large structures. Again, I can't see any windows or any other type of form on these towers. They seem to be luminous. Either they absorb the light and then emit the light later, or if there's a power source in it. There's a nice example there as well. I'm just trying to guess that obviously they're formed from certain minerals or substances from the lunar soil. That area is fairly lush vegetation. Again, quite a few towers there inside. That's a very interesting one down there. You can see the area is excavated around the structure. Many towers again, vegetation. It could be possible there is water at the bottom of the craters. I just can't see any reflections. Obviously, with an atmosphere of 2 miles and vegetation, there is a chance of moisture collecting into lakes, but I can't see any big large lakes on the surface or any forms of water flow. That's a very nice, interesting structure right there. You'll see various angles to that rod building also happening here as well. And I'm trying to scan as quick as I can. There was a whole group of towers around that crater. We'll just go back in. And you'll see like walkways that go down into the crater or courtyards from the towers. So again, this does not look like any human type of development. The towers again, areas around it are cleared. Again, I'll use the term alien because I don't see anything here that resembles any sort of human construction. That's a nice example of zigzag towers. And that's a very nice example of a very large rod structure, a building. There's rods in the tower as well, in the crater. Here we've got a structure as well. You can see the courtyard around it and the white lines on the lush vegetation. Again, towers around the crater base. Very nice structure there on the wall. There's a tower, shadows. Again, courtyard area, white lines around, 2 towers there. There's a fairly large complex there from that crater, and again smaller ones that always seem to form a ridge. And that was seen in the Tycho crater as well. There's a row of towers that form a wall or a ridge. Here we have a large one, excavation around a crater. There's quite a few happening there, forming that wall. These are pointing sideways. Again, Nothing resembles any human construction that I've seen on Earth. We've got towers there, walls, zigzag patterns heading into the crater. And we just scanned that area there. I'm just curious what that type of structure is there and there. And again we see the rods everywhere, but this is a little bit unusual. It's actually curved, and I don't see any towers or anything like. Oh yes, it's actually formed by the little towers. So it is that ridge that I'm talking about, where there's a whole group of towers that form a ridge, and that was seen in the Tychos crater system as well. But that was heavily blurred by NASA. These are not. Here we go again. Just gone over. Oh, that was very interesting. I missed that one. That's a very nice structure. Again, we're just comparing all the different forms and patterns of structures, but they all seem to follow the same pattern. Here we have many near the main one with shadows. These are more square down the bottom, or 2 or 3 towers together, which blur to resemble a square type of image. There's quite a lot there now. All these towers have their own excavation around them. Shadows. That's a very interesting one there. There's 2 or 3 interesting ones where the towers are in the actual crater, sticking out. See the tops of the bright towers. Again, from high up, about 10 kilometers, you won't be able to see these patterns. You have to go fairly low. Here we go, down there as well. You see the courtyard. It's about 2 towers there. A shadow, light green. That was a very dense green area. Here we go to less light green, so there's less vegetation. This is very interesting. This is where we see that pattern around the edge of the excavation, where the towers are internal towers as well. So always seems to be a bright line around the edge, and there's 2 or 3 small ones happening. These are a lot smaller, that they actually look square. That's a fairly large white dome, very luminous. Same type of structure pattern happening again. This is a fairly dense concentration of rod towers in craters. We have 2 sticking up there, but that's fairly blurred. Again, 2 with 1 internal, blurred. We've got 1 there with small structures nearby. That whole crater has towers inside again. Here we have 2 or 3 towers together. The area looks like there's a courtyard around it, and that bright white line around the edge of the excavation. Again, happening in this area as well. You see the towers there. The area becomes very hilly, luminous. Towers in concentrations are here. Again with squarish type of courtyards, walkways. That's a very interesting example there. The area is a bit blurred. This is interesting. We have a whole group around the crater again. Then square structures. Here we've got 3 of them, which look like twin towers together and shadows. There's 2 there with that courtyard. Actually, inside the courtyard is more, the excavation is a dense green. This is a very good example of how the towers are always on the edge of a crater, and they are built up along the edge. So this is happening on this side as well. And you see the excavation happening. And the area is very dense green vegetation. 2 towers on their own, one there with an internal in the crater, light green, courtyards. That's a nice interesting one as well, we just missed that. Shows that white line pattern around the excavation, then the excavation, the 2 towers, that one's upright, down there. Shadows. There's about 2 or 3 in that excavation. Again, all the towers are accumulating on the edge of the crater, similar to the Tycho craters. Again, we saw that process now. This is quite interesting. This is a 90 meter tower, the excavation, internal tower, shadow, and some more towers around it. Some more ones there. There's a group of towers within that wall structure, or again, there's towers everywhere in this area. This is 110 meter rod. There's 3 happening in that crater with rod structures. Again, we see that ridge, and those ridges usually formed by many towers in a row. So that was also seen in the Tycho crater system. And that seems to be fairly common. Again, I haven't seen anything like that on Earth. So again, I don't think it's human construction. Again, we see the ridges there, all those rows of smaller towers. These are larger towers coming through. Many towers on this crater edge. The area now has more vegetation, very hilly. More examples. Actually, I'm just trying to zoom in one other area we passed, where I saw like a land bridge or an area around the crater, that one there. So it seems there's a construction around that little crater, and then they all seem to form an artificial bridge